Joanne Cox with Let's Talk About It. We're going to be talking about what today, Nanette?
Hey, she already said it. This is Let's Talk About It, and we're glad you're here because we're talking about something that would be vital to everyone who gets married. In the beginning, prenups wasn't a big thing, Joanne.
No.
People just get married. They don't think about it. But when you have a lot in stake, not so much just the love, but you have property and you have business and you have money and you have children and you have all of these commodities. Do I need a contract?
Well, you know what happens, Nanette? You get so in love, and they use that term, love is blind. Well, what they're saying is there's so many vital things that you don't think about because you're so in love and it's so much trust that you feel that there's no reason because this person loves you as much as you love them. And that is the reason why people will select not to get a prenup.
Right. I mean, I trust. I love. I'm in this relationship for the long haul. And then it's not.
The inevitable? Is that it?
Inevitable.
Yes.
It may happen. It may happen. Now, we've already signed a marriage certificate. We've already signed and made vows. We've already signed and had witnesses. So are we not in a contractual agreement already?
Yes, and that's just it. It is a contractual agreement. But what happens is it says for better or for worse.
And that's okay. But if the contract says that we have this and the worst came along and we no longer had it, we just have to split the worst. I think the problem comes in when people look at it prior to going into the marriage. You have millions. I have less. We want to get into this relationship, but we want to make sure it's a fair contract at the end where you don't lose everything because I came into it with nothing.
I think the best way to look at a prenup for marriage is to look at it like car insurance.
Okay.
When you buy a car, you have no inkling that you're going to have a wreck and that someone is going to crash into you and that now the other person doesn't have insurance and you got all these little things that can come up. But because of history, we understand that things do happen, even though we're not predicting that we're going to have an accident. So now the insurance details everything that could possibly go wrong and who's at fault and who's not.
And that's contractual. And that's what I mean by contract. That's exactly what I mean.
But it's spelled out.
Because being spelled out, let's just look at all the totality. Okay? Previous children. If I'm bringing my children in and something should happen.
Okay.
Where does that leave my children? If they've grown up and become accustomed to certain way of living, where does that leave them? Okay, if we're talking money and finances, again, I'm accustomed to having certain things. Am I still entitled to have those things? Now, people that don't get the prenup don't go into that kind of depth. I know when I got my divorce from my first marriage, I didn't think about that. All I thought about was what's fair. Not what the court wanted to be assigned, what the court said, or how the court felt it should be. I knew it wasn't fair.
And what happens with that term, what's fair, your definition of what's fair
is entirely different
from the person that you're married to.
And from the legal standpoint.
Exactly. So again, when you've been married past 10 years, you have to understand that what your mentality was the first year of marriage and what it is on the 10th, the 15th, and the 20th is totally different.
And you become more of a business partner. The longer you stay married, you buy property. You put your children in school. The longer you stay married, the things that you did year 1, 2, and 3, you're no longer even investing in year 10, 11, and 12. So even with that, if you're not coming in with a big wallet, or you're not coming in with big property or big assets, the question then becomes, what did you gain together? How do you split what you gained together? And that's why they say that, depending on how long you've been married. Now, you gained property. And you gained money. You gained a business. How do we divide that so that it's fair? That's why that prenup is contractual, because if I come in with 2 or 3 businesses and I come in with 2 or 3 houses, am I to give you all of my businesses and all of my houses just because we were married?
I don't know legally how the prenups work as you continue to grow in life, because I think they should be like a will, and I think they are. That if you have a will and things start to grow materialistically, that means that I need to adjust that will.
Oh, yes. And you may not be able to adjust the prenup, but you can adjust, like you said, the will, the estate, how you want things to go. But the problem becomes the emotional involvement in it.
Yes.
Now, I don't want you to take what we grew and give it to somebody else. And that's where the question becomes, is it a prenup or are you really, really trying to punish or restrict someone, which was my point when I said about my first marriage. This is not fair. He's not going to be able to maintain if you take all of this. However, whatever you determine below this where he can still maintain, that I can see. But I can't see you just automatically digging in, which will diminish his quality of life.
And that is your aspect of it.
Yes.
And what we want the viewers to know is there's a positive
and a negative. Yes.
And the positive is that you want to protect yourself and your children and everything that you
And you're not going to get everything that you want.
And that is the reason why some divorces can take 3 months and some can take 7 years.
Exactly.
Because of that difference.
You have to look at
that mentality.
Yes.
Because what you don't want to happen is your definition of how you help that spouse. Now, if I'm a singer and now I have hired my husband to be my manager or songwriter, now he's going to be able to say that he's a part of my success. Because if he had not written those songs,
I would have not made that money.
I would not have made the money. And you're thinking he has already gotten his money because you paid him for writing the song.
But then that's where 2 different contracts overlap. The prenup is now overlapping the business contract.
Good point.
The business contract needs to be stipulating what is got
separately,
what he's to get, what he's to acquire, what happens if this business relationship is no longer a business relationship, which has nothing to do with the marital relationship. There should be 2 separate contracts. There should be 2 separate ways of looking at that. It should not fall under the prenup saying, oh, now I get more. Now I get this. No, you got that in the business contract. You get whatever that separation is. The business is dissolving. This is what you get. So the point I think that we want to make sure that our viewers understand is, like I said, it's about dissolving a contractual agreement while you still have respect for each other.
Very well said. Very well said.
While you have respect. Because if you wait until the things flare up and get ugly, it gets uglier.
Yes. And that is such a good point, and Nanette said it in such a understanding and open way that we can receive that. And what we are saying, it's a different world now. And it is not just for the celebrities and for the rich people.
No.
You know, because we grow and we are changing and evolving into these people of excellence that's monetizing the things that we do. So we want to be able to protect ourselves, and we want you to think about some of these things as you grow in the areas that you're in professionally, because insurance needs to be on almost everything.
Yes. And when, as I said, you want to do this when your emotions are not a factor. You want to have this understood. When you would never go into a business deal with emotions. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that if it's a prenup that you agree to, you want to treat it like a contract when there's respect on the table. We like that. We like that. We understand it. We want to know what you like. We want to know if you feel the same way. What's your thoughts about prenups? What's your thoughts about a contract? Is marriage a contract? Let us know. Tune in every Thursday here on Let's Talk About It. Bring a friend, leave a comment, subscribe. We appreciate you.
Until next Thursday,